Okay, first you want to start out with an image with a clear, plain, nice, non-busy background so it'll be easier to make selections or a mask. Since most images are different sizes, we want to predetermine the size of the background in this image here. So right now, if I go to image size, it's 32 inches by 42 inches and 72 pixels per inch. That's a very odd size. So what I want to do is use the crop tool and choose the size that I want this to end up being by choosing width, height, and resolution. And I want this to be 6 inches by 6 inches and 300 pixels per inch. Now, whatever size I make this, it will end up being that exact size. So, with portraits, you don't have to use the rule of thirds. You can have your subject in the middle. That's cool. All right, good enough. I'll hit enter. All right, next I want to make a white background or a mask. So we need to use selection tools. Usually the object selection tool will work pretty good. If you just draw a box around what you're trying to select. These little marching ants means you have isolated this area. Okay, I'm going to right click and deselect that. Or another way is to go to select your subject. It'll pretty much do the same thing. I now have the inside selected and I'd like to select the opposite. So you go to select the inverse and that will select the opposite of what you had selected. Over here I can make a blank layer with nothing in it. Come over here and make sure white is in the foreground. Then go to edit and then fill with the foreground color. And there you go. Now remember, when you're done with your selection, you always want to get rid of it. So right click, deselect. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my layers here. If you don't see your layers, you can always go to window and layers and they'll show up. So I have my white layer here, my background layer, and now I need an image to blend in with my subject matter here. So I found a couple of pictures. Here's some rims at a bike swap meet. Here's a car. So I'm just going to use the move tool, which just moves things. I'm going to grab this tab and pull it off the tabbing system. Then I'm going to hold down with the mouse and grab this and float over where I want it to go. And keep holding down the mouse, and then when you get over the image, then you can let go and it will land inside of there. Okay, so now I'm going to move this layer underneath our white layer. And then you simply just change blending modes. Depending on the values in your image, it's all going to turn out different. So you can hover over and see which one works best for your image. Let's say you find one you like. You can then also get your image and move it around on the inside and find a good spot that you want. All right. Maybe we try a different image. So I'll grab this, pull it off of there, hold down my mouse button, and then let this off here. And then let's try some different blending modes. Oh, that one's cool. All right, so anyway, that's how you do a portrait with a blending mode. All right, I also forgot, if you'd like to size anything, make sure you have that layer selected, and then it's edit, transform. You can do all these things like flip or rotate, skew, but I prefer to just use free transform, and you can then size your images in there that way. And just hit enter when you're done. Now, when you're completely done, you of course want to save this. So go to File, Save, and I would go to save this into Documents personally, but you want to give it a name. And by default, this is going to be a .psd. That means Photoshop document, which also means next time you open it, you'll have your independent layers here. Now, if we're turning it in and putting it into your website portfolio, we want to make a JPEG version of it. So first off, you have to go to Layer and then Flatten Image. Say OK. You'll notice over here it is all now into one. And then go to File and be very careful to pick Save As. I'll put it in the same place and pick JPEG, JPEG, and that will give you a .jpg file, which is flattened. And again, that's the one you want to turn in and put into your portfolio website. At a later date, you want to come back in and re-edit. You'll still have your PSD file, which will still have your layers. So anyway, Long Road to a Small House, save 2 different versions, and turn in the .jpg one.